Hello, everyone, and welcome to this workshop. Today, we are talking about ancestors and how they influence your thoughts and your life, and what you can do to heal your relationship with them as well as how they impact you. So, first, let's take a look at why we should worry about this and what our ancestors have to do with our thoughts. So Dr. Pillai coined a term called soul genetics. And what that means is that not only is the DNA and the biology of the genetics of your ancestors impacting you, like the color of your skin or hair, or perhaps some mannerisms that you have, but also their souls. Because as a soul departs and crosses over, and when someone leaves the body, when a soul leaves the body, there goes with it thoughts from that lifetime and perhaps even prior lifetimes. And then the soul may be in an in-between state where that being is now in some unrest. So there are certainly souls that cross over into the light when they pass and are totally free, but the majority of them are not. And what that means is that they're holding on to some addiction, perhaps, attachment to a person or a place, thing, money. We, at the soul level, get attached to things, right? People, places, things. And when our soul leaves the body, that doesn't change. The energy of that soul goes with everything that we've accumulated in this lifetime in that soul goes with it. So your ancestors are out there after passing on and holding on to all these thought forms. And then what happens is those thought forms get passed on to you. So it's not bad enough that they're suffering with the thought forms, right? And they're still in a state of unrest. But now you are feeling the impact of that. Perhaps you have some thoughts that don't feel like your own. They perhaps feel like they've coming from a grandmother, a great-grandfather, perhaps someone you don't know in your lineage. And what is important to understand about this process is that you can do something about it, right? That there is a solution. And also to understand that this exists, right? We're not making this up. There's many cultures, many different cultures around the world who honor ancestors, right? So that's pretty common. And what I'm going to do today is teach you a technique to help your ancestors move on, to help them be healed, let their soul feel nourished, and let them move on into the light, because the higher they move up into the light realms after death, then the freer that they are. And the freer they are, the more blessing power they have. And that blessing power can be directed towards you, especially if you call them to do that, if you ask for their blessings, right? So if you have any questions, just jot them down. I'll get to them at the end of the webinar. So for now, what I like to do is give you a demonstration of what this is like. So for the ancestor offering, we call it tarpanam. It's in the Vedic tradition from Dr. Pillai's lineage. And like I mentioned, there's many different ways to honor your ancestors. And if you already have one, that's fantastic. And if you want to incorporate this as well, that's wonderful too. In the Vedic tradition, what you do is make an offering to them in the form of some materials and a prayer. And this material is to be used as food, like nourishing their soul. You can also offer actual food if you feel like your ancestors are wanting that. But the important thing about offering actual food is to not eat it afterwards. So anything that the ancestors have consumed or anything having to do with ancestor ceremonies is to be thrown away afterwards. I know that there are some rituals, ceremonies that we do in the Vedic tradition that you use the offerings afterwards, or it's considered blessed. But for the ancestors, it's more of a cleansing. So think of this as a cleansing technique, in which case you want to let go of that which was offered. Okay? So by now, you should understand that the ancestors in your lineage, your father and your mother's side, are influencing your thoughts, right? And they may even influence you more than perhaps other people in your family because you have a spiritual inclination. For example, you're learning about this right now. So they know intuitively that you can help them more than other people. So perhaps if you're feeling like, oh, I feel like I have a lot of influences, maybe more so than someone else in my direct family, it's because they know you can help them, right? They're targeting you because their soul knows that they need help and that you can do that for them. So it's a win-win situation because what's happening is they're being free and then you're being free of their influence. Quick story, I knew this gentleman, and his grandfather had passed away not that long ago, maybe a few months earlier. And he all of a sudden had this desire for gin and tonic. And it wasn't his particular drink of choice, but he started drinking it and casually, and then realized, oh my gosh, that was my grandfather's favorite drink. And that was an interesting direct kind of occurrence that happened where this person was being directly influenced by his grandfather who recently passed away. So addictions are very common to be passed on through this technology, soul genetics, and as is mental illness or suicidal thoughts. So that's something to be to take into consideration if that is happening to you or anyone you know, that this may be a solution for that. Okay, so let's get on with our demonstration here. So first of all, I keep the Tarpanum mix in my bathroom in this particular container. I took it from my bathroom this morning. And so that it looks nice and that it is always available, right? And then if anyone comes into my bathroom, they don't think I'm a weirdo. They just think it's some pretty container. So this is always on the counter in the bathroom. And it's perfectly fine to do this in your bathroom. It can be done at any sink. It can be done outside. It can be done, just about anywhere. And what you need is rice flour. It can also be any type of white rice that is uncooked, and you can blend it up, or you can just even leave it as it is. Now, I put the offering in this little bowl so that you can see what it's like. And as you can see, there's also some black specks in there. So that is black sesame seed. So the two main ingredients that you need is rice flour. Doesn't matter if it's white or brown or whatever, but white rice flour is great. And you can even use whole rice if you don't have the flour, or you can grind it up in a blender. Either way is fine. And black sesame seeds. Black sesame seeds can typically be found at some Indian store or online. And if you don't have them, the secondary choice would be regular sesame seeds. But black is good if you can get them. And typically nowadays on online, you can pretty much get anything. Then inside this, you may see there's a couple little pieces of material. This is darba grass. I had gotten this in India. And then this is cut up into small pieces and mixed in. If you do not have darba grass, you do not need to use it. The only two main ingredients, rice flour and black sesame seeds. Okay, so please make note. Don't stress out about the darba grass. If you have it, you can cut it up like I did. And if you don't, that's fine too. The other thing that you want to have is a coin. So you'll want to have a coin from whatever nationality, country that you're from, so that your ancestors can relate to it. And if they're from various places, that's fine too. It's really symbolizing money, right? Because their soul wants money. Dr. Pillai says, even after they've crossed on, there's still this desire for money. That's how strong our attachment to money is. So what you'll do is take a little bit of this, about a teaspoon. I'm just going to dump it into my hand. About that. Put your coin in. I don't have water, so I'm not going to do it with water, but what you'll do is pour some water over your hand and allow the mixture to become wet. You can do this in a stream, in an ocean, any sort of natural water location, or you can do it in a sink. So your bathroom, kitchen, whatever it is for you. You do need to be careful about putting this down a drain because the seeds will sprout. So it's not recommended only for that reason. Ideally, we release the offering into water, but because that may not, it's not ideal for your household, you don't want to do that. So here you have your offering, and then you add water to it, becomes a little pasty. And with your right hand, you can, if you can face south, that's an ideal direction. If you can't, then do whatever you can do. So with this in your right hand, now the whole concept here is you want to reach out to the souls out there. Now you don't know them all. There's thousands of them, right? So you're just making this heartfelt prayer to these beings in your lineage. They've given you your DNA. They've given you so many blessings. And now you want to help free them from their unrest, from where they are in the planes of existence that occur after we leave the body. And we want to usher them into the light. So you can imagine them moving from maybe these lower realms, they're hanging out, into these light realms. Okay, so they're moving up and out. So as you make the prayer, that's what you want to visualize. So you take your offering, close your eyes, become prayerful and receptive. You may feel them. You may feel thoughts from them. Some certain specific prayers may come to you. But the prayer that I do is to the ancestors, and you can do 6 generations, 12 generations, 64 generations, or all generations. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to do all generations. To all the generations on my mother's side, and to all the generations on my father's side, please receive this offering. Let it nourish your soul. Relieve yourself and let go of all worldly attachments. And move into the light. Be free and move into the light. And as you move into the light, please bless me. Now you may feel them around you. You may feel some tingling sensations in your hand or your head or your body. And then after you've done the offering, you can, like I said, rinse it off somewhere or scrape it into a garbage, something to that effect. You can also do another one. You can do one to the mother and then scrape it and release and do one to the father. So that's another way to do it. I did the very quick version, which is all generations to both the mother and the father. But you can do this several times. And on new moon days, which is the power time you do not want to miss, is when you want to do this as many times as possible during the day. The timing that we do this is between sunrise and sunset. So the sun has to be risen up. It's not to be done during darkness. So, and then you can do it as many times as you want throughout the day. I'm going to just release this back into my little container. So the directions are to get your product, get your what you need, the rice flour and the black sesame seeds, to place it somewhere it's going to be easy for you to do. And you want to do this every single day. This is a ritual that is, you're never quite done. Someone asked me recently, why do I have to do it all the time? Because you have thousands of ancestors, and it's like you're kind of throwing a line out and a few of them will catch it and cross over. And then another time you throw a line out, a few of them will catch it and cross over. If we had if we could do it all in one fell swoop, that would be amazing. When the Vedic specialists, the professionals, do it on your behalf in India, which is a service you can use, they get more because they know more specifically how the technology is working, the spiritual technology, and they're also very persistent. So there's usually packages that happens like every new moon or every day during a particular time, and we'll talk about that as well. This time period coming up, that's very, very important. So you'll have your material. You'll make this offering when the sun is up. So anytime in your time zone between sunrise and sunset, every single day. You want to have your stuff in a place where it's easily accessible. And I like to do that so that I don't forget, right? And so that I put it into my daily routine so that it becomes easy. You'll want to do this especially on new moon days. So if you miss other days, that's fine, but don't miss a new moon day. How do you find new moons? It's usually on a calendar. It's on your Astrobed Hora watch. And during new moon days, you can and should do it multiple times per day. And just like I said before, you can continue with the same prayer. You can add different prayers. Sometimes you'll get kind of an intuition of what they may need, and you can pray for that. Now, there's a special time period coming up that you do not want to miss this opportunity for doing this ancestor ceremony. There's a couple throughout the year, and this one is the big one, a very big one. It's a 15-day period, and it starts on, I believe it's the first moon of this week, which in the US, it starts the evening of the 24th, I believe, and goes through to the new moon 15 days later. So it's basically kind of like the full moon to the new moon. It's a 15-day period. And during that time, you want to do this offering every single day. Do not miss it. Imagine being cleared of these thoughts you don't even know you probably have from ancestors, bad habits. And they're not trying to poorly influence you. They're just reacting. It's just kind of a natural thing that's going on. So please don't blame them and feel like they're doing anything harmful to you on purpose. Not necessarily the case. So this 15-day period, very important to do this offering every single day, and then especially on the new moon that follows. And what I personally do is have the professionals do it for me in India as well as do it on my own, because you don't want to take any chances, especially with this period of time, because it is so ripe for the opportunity to change. It's so ripe for being able to help our ancestors. And it happens once per year. So there's different packages from Pillai Center that you can choose from, ranging from, I think, $70 to a couple $100, a few $100. There's also an offering that I personally did have done for my father, which is around $480 or something like that. And it is an individual offering, but it's very, it's more involved. And it is to specifically draw in one particular soul. And I did it for my father, and I noticed a huge difference after this occurred. I'll tell you the story, but first let me go through the rest of what's going on in the different offerings. So there's also this year-long Karpanam that you can receive as well. And when you join the year-long Karpanam, you automatically get the essential package in Mahalaya, which is the 15-day period. So I'm personally going to do the year-long this year and get the bonus with the Mahalaya since it's coming up right now. And so on the links on this page, you can see that there's places where you can go to find out more, to join whichever ritual you would like to for you. There's also the free ebook. If you don't have that already, go ahead and read through that. And I hope that you implement this teaching. So now a little backstory. My father died when I was 13. It was a very tragic, very sudden death, and I was devastated. He was the love of my life. He was actually just coming to visit us after being away for about 4 years, and he had a drug problem. So it was this kind of tumultuous time. And so I was very impacted. And basically, I shut him out for 20 years after that. Like I wept, but then I couldn't really deal with it anymore as a 13-year-old. So I pretty much shut down my emotions, my association with him. I didn't really know what to do. Fast forward to after I meet Dr. Pillai, and I'm feeling this energy. I'm like always feeling my father around me. And it wasn't a good thing and it wasn't a bad thing. I knew he loved me dearly, and I knew I was very attached to him. He was very attached to me. But it was also starting to feel like a strain, like a weight. And while I was sad to maybe see him go, I was also feeling like it was not healthy, right? There was this weird energy. And as I, progressed in my spiritual path, I was able to identify that more, that this is not necessarily a healthy attachment, not necessarily a healthy energetic interaction that was going on. But it was always through love. It was never meant to be harmful. So I ordered this tarpanum after having a reading that said, your father is hanging around and you do, need to do this for him in order to free his soul. So I did that, and there was this release, and it was beautiful because it wasn't like he wasn't there anymore and I missed him. It was like he rose to a place where his soul could be freer so that he could even love and bless me even more. Because he was hanging around, like, these realms, and I was feeling this impact, and it wasn't always comfortable. But then once we did this ritual and I could feel him shift up, it was like this beautiful opening had occurred. This beautiful new opportunity of a relationship could happen with this soul, where it was pure and loving and beautiful. And because he was no longer feeling trapped, right? His soul wasn't feeling trapped. And so I was feeling that trappedness via him. And it was just an amazing experience. And that's the individual one that I did particularly for him. I ended up doing it again several years later, which again, there was just this additional opening of him feeling more relief, being more freed, and having a more beautiful, loving, blessed relationship. So I'm so grateful for this technology. I don't know what I would do without it, because I don't think his soul would have progressed, at least not that quickly. I mean, it had already been 20 years and it didn't go anywhere, right? So we don't know how long that will take without this technology. So I'm so grateful personally for having this help. I have other stories too. A cousin who passed away tragically. I was feeling her so much, and just her unrest. And then this ritual happened, and then she was gone. So I can't really say, more in terms of how amazing this technology is. We're so blessed to have it. Definitely do it at home. If you have the means, please do it with the professionals as well. They know how to really communicate with these souls and help them move on. So now I'll see if there are any questions in the chat. All right. I'm going to see any questions. Since I wasn't watching the chat while I was speaking, if you can repost anything, that would be helpful. Okay, here's some questions. Black rice. I don't know. I would just stick with the lighter colored rice because of, this is what was been used in this tradition. And you can get white rice anywhere. Can tarpanum be done during a woman's cycle? Good question. Yes, it can. Can I use rice grains instead of rice powder? Yes. You can even cook the rice. That's fine too. How does reincarnation play into all of this? So if the soul doesn't always reincarnate right away, right? Oftentimes after we pass on, the soul has a journey to go through. And that is where there's lessons and processing. And that's where they are when you're speaking to them. So if they've already reincarnated, that soul is not is now embodied, and you don't need to worry about it. So it's only the unembodied souls that are influencing you from your ancestor lineage. When having the tarpanum remedy done, how does the technology work for the names that you fill in on the form and for those ancestors whose names you do not know? Another good question. So I basically fill in as many as I can, and then just, it's fine if you don't have a lot. Typically I don't have a lot. I have a few names from a few generations. So when you get your name and birth star represents your energy. And so the priest will take that and pray for all of your lineage. But if they have particular names, they'll call upon them. So it's great to have a name because they're going to call them out, right? It's like calling them out of a crowd. You come here, right? But if you don't, then they're just going to be praying for everyone just like we did. Can I perform Tarpanam for the ancestors of my children? Yes, because if you're biologically related to your children, they're also your ancestors. If you're not biologically related to your children, you can still do Tarpanam ancestor offering for them because they're your family. So you can do offerings for your family, which includes spouse and children or non-biological, but if you're in a family unit, you can do Tarpanam for any of them, but you should not personally do Tarpanam for someone who is not in your family, who is not related to you. Reason being is you would be taking on some karma to do that. This is where you want to leave it to the professionals. Okay, this is, you can order it for someone who's passed on. Is it beneficial to use a coin of high value? It's really up to you intuitively what you feel. It doesn't matter. Oh, good question. I didn't say what to do with the coin. Keep the coin. You don't have to throw that away. Everything else gets rinsed off and thrown away. The coin can be rinsed and reused. So I basically just keep the coin with my Tarpanam so that I always have it there. Why is this practice only done in the sunlight hours? My understanding is that when the sun goes down, we have access to other beings, right? So, and they may not be who you want to be making offerings to. So it's better to utilize daylight hours where there's not going to be as much negative interference with the offering. When do we do the ritual at the sink? Where is it acceptable to dispose of the rice and seeds? And can we use the same coin every day? Yes, you can use the same coin every day. You can do the ritual at the sink anytime. So anytime between sunrise and sunset in your time zone is when you would do it. It's acceptable to dispose of the rice and seeds just about anywhere. You'd put it in the garbage. You can put it out in your yard. You can, yeah, it's fine. Any bad effect in case we are unable to continue regularly after starting? No, that's fine. You're not going to get cursed or anything. Just do it as much as you can. I've got a friend who is afraid of doing Tarpanam. She always asks how to overcome the fear because of deceased persons. That's a good question. So if you have some fear of the deceased, this may be impacting your ability to communicate with them. And it's not as if you're communicating them in a creepy way, I would say. It's a prayer, right? So think of it as a prayer to these beings who are out there wanting your help. They want your help. So if you can get over your fear and just come to the table and say, okay, I'm going to help you, let's do this, then I would hope that they would, your desire to be of service to them and help you and them is greater than your fear of your communication. Is roasted black sesame okay? Sure. What is Darba grass? I'm not really sure where it comes from. I know that it's in India, and I don't know more about it. I know that what Dr. Pillai has taught is that it helps in communication and protection, but I don't have any other information. What can I do if I did Tarpanam for people that are not my family or ancestors? It's fine. Don't worry about that. Just continue to do your own Tarpanam and ask for blessings, and that's it. Can we do for spouses' ancestors? Yes. So a spouse would be considered your family. You mentioned don't do this at home. No, I didn't say don't do this at home. There's a question that says, you mentioned don't do this at home. I live near a river or lake. What can I do? Can you grind the black sesame seeds into a powder? I didn't say don't do it at home. I said you can do it at home. So you can do it anywhere, right? So I wouldn't grind up the sesame seeds. I would just keep the materials as they've been prescribed. Let's not get too creative here, guys, and just keep it to, what's been taught. So you have your rice powder, you have your black sesame seeds, and you put some water in it. You can do it anywhere. And then once you're done, you can scrape it into the garbage. So if you don't live near water, that's fine. And if you do live near running water, like a lake or a pond, ocean, then you can rinse it right into there. Yes, I've seen, there's a question about if you can dump it into the toilet. Some people don't feel good about that. I think it's okay. It seems to be fine. It's really up to you if you're feeling like that's not a good thing to do. Someone's asking, what are the changes occur if I do tarpanum? So some of the things that I mentioned in terms of you may have feelings of doubt, insecurity, depression, addiction, wanting to, like, a perpetual thought that is coming to you. This may be the influence of your ancestors. You can be doing this tarpanum, this offering, and see how your thoughts change. It's really an exercise to see what can shift for you. I can't tell you what exactly will change in your life because I don't know. I don't know specifically how your ancestors are impacting your thoughts, but you can find out by doing this and then seeing what shifts. When saying the prayer, it should be, as you said, specific. It can be generally what I said. Excuse me. You can make your own as well. The bottom line is you want to ask them to receive this offering and then move into the light. So anything in between, I said, release yourself, let go of your attachment to people, places, and things. You want to visualize them. I always visualize them moving up into different states of liberation where they can be free, right? And then when you pray for them to pray for you, you can ask specifically. You can say, please help me to release a particular karma holding me back, or just please help me to release the karma holding me back, or just please bless me. Any prayer that you would like for them. Or you could say, if it's a specific thing, like, please help me with this particular problem. You can ask them that as well. So there's the prayer that you do that is to them, like, please take this offering, move into the light, let go of your attachments, and move into higher realms. And then as they're moving into the higher realms, then you ask, as you move, please bless me. And then again, you can say, bless me with a particular thing, or just bless me. You can definitely use tap water for the offering. Does the weather outside influence the outcome of the ritual? No. When Asheret asks for a maternal mother's name, do we use maiden name? My mother, yes, I did. This way it kind of taps into her original energies. Tarpanam is not considered a puja. That's why I mentioned that if you do this, it is not like it's been blessed. It's more of it's been absorbed or used, and that's why you throw it away, versus if you're doing a puja, which is different, those items are now blessed by the beings, the gods. Can we have a program that we prepay for tarpanam for ourselves when we pass? Oh, actually, people have asked about that. We need to set that up. That's like kind of like in your will. But yeah, that's been thought of. Will this help ancestors who have committed heinous crimes? Yes, especially them, because they're probably the most agitated, right? So tragic deaths, suicide, accidents, anything that is very tragic, in particular, those souls are probably more uneasy. They're probably not doing well. And you definitely want to be praying for them. Tarpanum to be done every day during the 15 days of new moon till the full moon. Is that correct? Or can we do it every day? You do it every day. So you do it every single day during daylight hours, but the most important day of the month is to do it on a new moon day. Someone's asking, is it okay to put the offering in a plate? No, you want to put it in your hand. Again, folks, let's not get creative. Put it in your hand, use the materials, put some water over it, and then you can throw it away anywhere you want. Can I do it multiple times during this Mahalaya period? Absolutely. You should definitely be doing it multiple times. You can do it multiple times per day, and especially during the Mahalaya period. Someone's asking if you can do it for pets. Yes, I would think so. Someone is asking, if I forget it one day, is that okay, or will it not work? It's fine. It works when you do it. It doesn't work when you don't do it. So if you don't do it that day, you're just not making that offering. You didn't discount anything you already did. Any other questions? Really good questions. Thank you. Any other questions on chat? There's some other questions on YouTube. Do the ancestors absorb the energy through your right hand? They absorb the content in your right hand. They absorb the content. It is not necessary to be a vegetarian or take a bath. Ideally, you have had bathed that day. So yes, you should bathe that day and then do your offerings. But you don't have to bathe immediately before doing the offering. And you don't need to be a vegetarian. How can we access this recording? When I'm done, it'll become a video. If you throw the rice in the garbage, do you have to throw the garbage out right away? No, you don't. It can stay there. I do it for the week or something, and then, you take it out at the end of the week. It's fine. Someone saying, my Vedic astrologer said I don't need to do Tarpanam, only pray on new moons. Interesting. It's because in the traditional Vedic tradition, you're not supposed to do Tarpanam if your parents are living. But Dr. Pillai kind of bypasses that rule, as he does with many Vedic technologies. So it's really up to you if you feel like you want to adhere to that rule, if you're from that tradition, or if you don't. But as far as the astrologer goes, I would not use that as your source of, not for this, for your source of what you would listen to. Definitely do Tarpanam. It's good for everyone. Can Tarpanam cure mental illness? I can't claim that there are cures for anything in use of Tarpanam. However, we do know that the ancestors can influence us mentally. And if they are doing that, then this may help. So I would definitely try it, or do it, order it for someone if it's not yourself, and see if anything shifts. But definitely that type of thought gets passed on through the ancestors. Yeah, even if it was an Astrovet astrologer, I would still do Tarpanum. Any other questions? Yeah, so someone else said, my parents are still alive. Can I still do Tarpanum? So I just answered that. That's really up to you. If your tradition, if you want to follow your tradition, Dr. Pillai doesn't, he's a little bit rogue when it comes to certain things. And he doesn't have that rule. He is offering this way to offer to your ancestors to anybody. Can a 14-year-old do Tarpanum? Yes. Someone's asking if Dr. Pillai will be doing a live event. No, he will not be. There's nothing scheduled. All right, it looks like that's all of them. So I'm going to wrap up. And so this event, if you want to participate in what is happening in India, on this page, there are several links. Soul Genetics program is an online course. You can do it anytime. And then there's the Soul Genetic prayer services and the year-long Tarpanam. Those two, the prayer services and the year-long Tarpanam, will expire. The whole thing, the majority of them will, I'm sorry, not the majority, but there are certain ones that start on the first day. And if you want to be in on the whole thing, you would need to order it right away. Today, I think, or tomorrow is the last, between today and tomorrow, I believe is the last amount of time that you have. So please go ahead and do that if you're interested in that. And then I hope that this was useful to you so that you'll be able to use this spiritual technology throughout this very important time coming up, and then every day going forward. So keep in touch with us on the Facebook groups, post your questions there if you need any other support, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for joining. Namaste.